Show. Welcome to Bhavika's Chat Show. This is your host, Bhavika Kochar. I speak to interesting personalities from different domains like customer success, product management, entrepreneurship, and much more. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to the 5th episode of Bhavika's Chat Show. And today we have a very special guest, and that's none other than Donna Weber. Hey Donna, what's up? How are you?
Hello, Bhavika. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you for including me on your fabulous show today.
It's a pleasure to host you. And for everyone out there, just a quick info. Donna is an award-winning author. She has written a wonderful book which is called Onboarding Matters. If you've not checked that out, please go ahead, read it, send her reviews, and of course, you're going to love that book because it's my personal favorite too. So thank you, Donna, for giving that gift to our community.
Thank you. Well, many people are saying it's the most practical business book they've ever read. And so I'm a practical person, and I'd like to make sure I'm providing value. And I hope that when you read it, you get value too.
Definitely. It was very insightful reading that book. So thank you so much. Okay, so today we have a very special topic on which Donna will help us through, and that's Customer Onboarding 101. As part of different rounds of the show, Donna, I'll give you first some time to talk about onboarding, to talk about what you really want to put on table. So it's all yours. Stage is all yours. You can drive this as you like. The next round will be a rapid fire round where I'll ask you some questions. I'm sorry, I do not have a hamper for you, but next time I'm traveling to California, I'll have this one for you. And the third one is the 3 W questions that I ask to all of my guests. So I'll do that. So for now, I'll give you some time to talk about customer onboarding, your journey, maybe how did you get into this, and people would love to know more about you.
Well, thank you so much. Well, let's see. I've been working in mostly startups, then I launched customer enablement and customer success organizations from scratch and startups. And, I was really excited to be part of customer success in the early stages. And one of the things when I worked at companies, I was always the one raising my hand going, hey, what about the customer? What about the customer? We talk about the sales, the marketing, the product. I was always like, what about the customer? And then I noticed this gap, even in customer success, that what about the customer? And everyone was getting very reactive, chasing down renewals in the last 90 days. And it just seemed like this obvious thing, what if you get them onboarded and enabled, then you won't have to be chasing down those renewals and you won't have to be parachuting people into save burning accounts. It seemed really obvious to me and others weren't talking about it. So I thought, I'm going to dive in and explore what's here. And the more I learn, I have to tell you, the more I learn about onboarding, the more I speak about onboarding, the more I write about onboarding, the more amazing it is, because at the end of the day, we're dealing with people, even though we might be selling to huge multinational, multi-billion-dollar companies, we're still dealing with people. And as people, we have, brains. I'm learning about neuroscience. I'm fascinated by that. Yep. And, just how do we, and it's all about delivering value. It's not about your product. It's about having an impact with your customers and helping them be successful. So those are the things that get me really excited.
Amazing. And I totally agree with you there, Donna, because one thing that's really important when you're tackling your customers is that you need to drive value for your customers, and it starts from the cycle of customer onboarding itself, because it's the first step when the contract has got signed and you get an account as a CSM. So customer onboarding is a really important a stage. I'll mention it as a stage in the customer success cycle, because that's the first time when you're interacting with your customer, and you need to make sure that you're building the right relationship, the right the customer is comfortable with you. And I think you summed it up perfectly. Thank you so much for doing that. Amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead with our rapid fire round, which is gonna be rapid, and you can of course take your time, but gonna be rapid for sure.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead with the first question, which is, what is the difference between implementation and customer onboarding? A lot of people are confused around these two terms.
Well, when I started talking with companies about onboarding, I realized that they were using onboarding and implementation as synonyms, as the same word. And so my distinction is that onboarding encompasses the building a trusting and enduring relationship. Most companies, when they close a deal with a new customer, they dive right into the technical weeds of the implementation. But before we do that, it's really important to engage the customers, to establish what the success outcomes are, to create a success plan, to do the handoffs. And a lot of the issues that happen downstream with the implementation can be avoided entirely by addressing things earlier. So I have 2 stages in my 6-stage orchestrated onboarding framework to deal with this, the embark and the handoff stages. Because when you have this trusting relationship, then you're going to partner for success, and you're not just dealing with all the product. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, as we just mentioned, it's not just about your product. I'm sure your product's awesome. True. However, it's about delivering value. Yep. So then after the deployment, just because you've gone live, it's most companies check the box, we've gone live. Yeah. But are the users using it? Do they know how to use it? Do they need some change management? Do they need some enablement, some training to make sure that you're driving value and not just going live and then hoping that your customers figure it out?
That's very true. And these 2 terms, like, trust me, Donna, I've spoken to so many people. Still, there is so much of confusion around these 2 terms, and I think after this podcast, we will kill that off. So, thank you so much for taking us through that. Moving ahead with the next question, can you enlist some best practices around customer onboarding, like as a CSM or as a customer onboarding specialist? What should you take care of, like maybe a couple of 2 to 3 points, which would be very necessary as a CSM or a customer onboarding specialist when you're tackling onboarding?
Well, I think the main thing is to slow down and connect with your customers as people, and find out what's important for them. Mm-hmm. And make sure you're communicating with transparency. I just released a video about transparency and communication. Yeah. And we were talking about, before we started recording, tools like Rocket Lane. There's other software vendors that provide onboarding software if that's appropriate for you. True. But those are really great at helping to build in transparency and communication. Yep. It's really important to establish the relationship. So that a best practice is to slow down and make sure you know what success means for your customer before you just start getting busy with connecting APIs, migrating data, customizing the code. But make sure you know what's needed. And then another best practice is to explore ways to deliver value very quickly, initial value, or I also call it a quick win. Mm-hmm. So maybe your product takes 6 weeks, 6 months to deploy. Are there any like morsels of value that you can start to deliver even before your product is deployed? I worked with a company that provides a marketing platform for real estate agents. And we talked about, for them, some value they can deliver while the platform is being customized and tailored and deployed is to, they get some strategic coaching, they get access to an exclusive community. So they're getting the right mindset. So when the platform's live, they're ready to go. So it doesn't always have to be, the product's live or it's not, and they're getting value or not. There's many other ways to deliver value.
Wow. Amazing. So all those newbies out there who are trying to get into customer onboarding or customer success, watch out for these best practices that Donna just mentioned. I think they'll be very helpful for you in your career. Great. So Donna, let's go ahead with the next question, which is, can you share, of course, in a very comprehensive manner, what would be the steps under customer onboarding process? As we start, and what would be the ending step for this? Maybe the entire process, not in detail, I understand, because we do not have that kind of time, but in brief, what would be the steps of customer onboarding?
Sure. And I can send you a link to an article to share that covers each of the stages in a bit more depth. So in my orchestrated onboarding framework, I have 6 stages. We start with Embark, which is all about helping the customer see the journey ahead. And then we have a handoff stage, which I like to include 2 handoffs, especially if it's a high touch approach. But you have an internal handoff and then a customer handoff, or it might be a customer alignment meeting. So those customer teams know what was purchased and why, and they understand what's happening moving forward. Then we jump into the kickoff, which is most people are familiar with, the kickoff meeting, which moves us into the adopt stage. And the adopt includes implementation, enablement, change management, and that's generally the longest stage of the onboarding framework. And then we move into review. You need to know, hey, how'd it go? You know, what worked, what didn't work, how can you improve? And then we move into the expand stage, because even though onboarding is a segment of the entire customer journey, there's always new, especially in a subscription model, in a SaaS model, there's always new features to onboard existing customers to. There's new users. At a lot of companies, there's high user turnover, or they might start with just a small team, especially more and more there's this consumption model. So you might start with 3 people, but then you're going to keep onboarding more and more people as you expand. Or one company I talked with, they work with manufacturing plants. So they might onboard 1 plant, but then they need to onboard each additional plant. So in that regard, onboarding never ends, because you want to keep delivering value. So, if you think of it being like as loops, like an agile and iterative loop, you might have a big loop to start, but, there's these ongoing loops where maybe the CSM or even the onboarding team keeps coming in. One company I work with that's in the UK, they have a rebate management platform, and they deploy their platform in phases, and they're called projects. So they do have these loops where they're deploying the first project, and so it's this ongoing thing, which I actually recommend. So then you're not sitting around waiting weeks and weeks and months to get a live platform.
Got it. Amazing. Thank you for sharing those insights, Donna. With this, I'll go to the next question. Of course, we've always known that what should we do while onboarding a customer. Can you share with us some things which we should not do when we are onboarding a customer?
Well, don't I talk a lot in the book about not using hope as a strategy. So don't just hope that they figure it out. Don't just say them, here you go, call me when you have a problem. I talked to the customers of one company, and that's what they said. The CSMs were really lovely people, but they just told me, call me when you have a problem, and they said, I don't want problems. So, being really, don't wait till there's problems. Be proactive, and don't just focus on the product. Focus on the people. So, Bhavika, let's say you sell me a hammer. Well, great, I got a great hammer. It's beautiful. It might be brand new. It might be, or it might be handed down from generations in your family. But if I don't know what to do with it, if I don't know I need nails, and then once I have a nail on the wall, the purpose is to create a lovely environment, maybe to hang up some photos of my family, to create this loving environment in my house. That's the value I'm getting from the hammer. So just because you give me a hammer doesn't mean it solved any problems or provided any value.
True. And you know what, Donna? If we do not if we do not communicate with the customer, or we do not let him actually realize this value, there are high chances that the customer will churn, because they paid you and they did not realize the importance of the product. They'll definitely move out. Cool. So with this, we are at the end of rapid fire round. Again, sorry for the hampers, but yes, like I promised, I'll definitely get you those when I'm in California. Moving ahead with the next round, which is the 3 Ws, wherein I ask these questions to all of my guests on the show. Generally, I ask that what is your favorite CS book? But I know you are an award-winning author by yourself. I tweaked the question, which said that one thing that is the most amazing thing about your book that you'd like to share with us.
Well, just what I mentioned at the beginning, that many folks are saying it's the most practical business book they've ever read. So that's amazing for me to hear, and it sounds amazing for people to get that value, that they're like, oh, like, I include tools, there's resources you can download, templates you can download from my website that, you can just get started and start, optimizing your onboarding process
by
reading the book. So I think that's that it's a tool, not just information.
That's why I mentioned it's a gift to the community. Thank you for doing that for us,
Oh, thank you.
Donna. Second question, Donna. What do you think the future will look like for customer success or customer onboarding? What do you think 2022 will hold for us? Where are we going?
Well, I don't know if 2022 is the future just yet, but in general, what I'm seeing is, customer success 1.0 was very reactive. Everyone kind of ran around trying to, be the gopher and delight the customer. And customer success 2.0 is all about being more proactive, which I'm thrilled to see. It looks like customer success 3.0 will be more how to scale customer success, because we can't just keep throwing bodies at it. So that's what I'm really curious to see. How can we continue to provide like that relationship experience, even in that lower touch or a digital touch way, that, we still need to be driving value and helping to create a relationship without it necessarily being high touch. And so then we're going to be needing more technology. So I'm curious, there's this whole new category of onboarding software, which is really exciting to see. So is there going to be some consolidation around like the one-stop customer success tool, where everything's all in one place, or is it going to be best in breed and you kind of hook up what you need? I don't know. Those are areas I'm curious about. And then I'm also curious about consumption. So, where we've gone from a perpetual license to subscription, and I see on the horizon is a consumption model where you might have pay as you go, and then, you might have customers who are buying like small, morsels, small nuggets of your product, say $1,000, but then they might be the potential to spend millions with you. So how does customer success, engage in that approach? Because generally, companies who start off with high recurring revenue, high annual contract value will get that higher touch. But let's say they start with a few $100s or a few $1,000s. How are we going to drive them to value and then continue to stay engaged as they consume more and expand across their organizations?
Got it. Amazing. Seems like 2022 will be more interesting for the customers.
I don't know if that's all happening in 2022, but I'd say by 2025.
2025. Yeah, cool. Great. Okay, one last question, Donna, for you, which is one advice that you would like to give to a newbie out there who's trying to get into customer success or customer onboarding. Your one advice could help someone out there.
Well, I'll just share what I did. I did a lot of watching webinars, reading articles. I'd reach out to customer success leaders and have informational interviews. I attended conferences, so I just absorbed as much as I could, and then notice like what things seem obvious to you. If you hear your voice, the internal voice saying things about this seems obvious. Why isn't anyone doing that? Dive into that.
Right.
And there are many different areas of customer success. There's more technical areas like implementation. There's more business strategic areas. There's operations. There's enablement. There's lots of different areas. So don't think of customer success as just one thing. There's so many customer facing teams. So get a sense of what you like, what you love, what sparks joy, as that's the KonMari method. What sparks joy, and dive into that. But it takes some time to. There's books. There's lots of great conferences. There's lots of great resources available now.
Got it. So long story short, follow your passions. If you feel like that you love this, go for it, like Donna did. So if you are loving something, dive deep into it and study more about it and go for it. So with this, Donna, of course, we have come to an end of the show, but I do not want to let you go. But I understand that you have to because of a lot of commitments. Thank you so much, Donna, for coming to the show. From the bottom of my heart, trust me, it was lovely having you on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for including me, and I look forward to talking again soon.
Sure. Thank you. Bye bye, Donna. Take care.
Be well.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if yes, please spread the word. I would love to know your feedback, hence feel free to drop me a ping over LinkedIn. Stay tuned to many more interesting episodes. See you.